Well, a formidable sight. And a formidable opponent here. Well, Fagan looks to be as though he's going to take this on. 4 gone, 6k to go. Gabriel Selassie's there, so is Thompson. Fagan is there as well. And so is Craig Mottram, the tall figure. Mottram, world bronze medalist in 2005, Commonwealth silver at 5,000 in 2006. So looking for the form that saw him to so many national records in Australia. Levitt is about 15-20 metres off the lead at the moment, but here goes Haile Gebrselassie. Thompson's not letting him go, you know. As soon as Gebrselassie made the surge, Thompson went with him, and Fagan had to give way just for the moment. Mottram has latched on to Fagan, and Levitt now has moved into 5th place.
Well, I think Chris Thompson has got to start imposing himself here. He's a world-class athlete now. He's the fastest European over the last 2 or 3 years, even though Mo Farah won the European 10,000 title last year. And I think what Chris Thompson should do is move up alongside Haile Gebrselassie and just upset his race plan. I think you've got Gebrselassie there like the Pied Piper, everybody just tucking in behind him. And I would do something to upset that race plan for Gebrselassie, and Chris Thompson should be stepping up to the plate now and making those bold moves. I know he's probably thinking, well, an optimal result for me here today would be to hang on to Gebrselassie and maybe out-sprint him, but I just think he needs to be a little bit more proactive. It's a strong field, this, but Chris Thompson is right on top of his game at the moment. Haile Gebrselassie is a man who has had his best days, but is he better than this field today? We'll find out.
Well, more waves waiting to depart from the start. And they really are a mass of humanity, each with their own personal adventure to come. Personal stopwatches will record their personal times. We go back to the finish of the wheelchair, and it's the first woman home, Nikki Emerson. 4th in London last year. 3rd in the Great North Run also last year, coached by Ian Thompson, Tanni Gray's husband. And she comes through to win the women's race, 31 minutes and 50 or thereabouts. So both the winners of the men's and women's are there. But this is Moreira, and Moreira is off the back now of this group, and she's all of a sudden lost contact, and that's interesting.
Well, it is. She looked very strong indeed, didn't she, through the first half of the race? But 25 minutes on the clock now, and Helen Clitheroe has continued to pump away hard at the front there to try and break down this field, and it's pretty much worked. And Dornay is struggling there in 3rd place. In 2nd place, Grace Mamani, the Commonwealth 10,000 metres champion, no less, is really, really working hard to hang on. She's been grimacing a little bit over the last few minutes. And I have to say that Helen Clitheroe, the strength of character she's showing here is absolutely supreme. She wants to run the European 10,000 metre challenge on the 4th of June in a couple of weeks, with 2 kilometres to go. They go through 8 kilometres there. That's another 3:09 kilometre that Helen Clitheroe has just clicked off, and that is slightly quicker than she was showing in the first half, Stuart. So she's gradually turning the screw in this field, and it's working.
Well, it is indeed. She is definitely a new athlete. We're back for the men. That looks like Scott Overall, actually, at the back of that trailing group. Walsh and McLeod also there. On the left of his shot, that's James Walsh with the red shorts. Haile Gebrselassie really pushing it along now. Thompson in 2nd place. Look at this, Lebed's now moved up into 4th place behind Craig Mottram. And there is a gap opening up now, Tim, and the first 2 now are moving away, and Thompson is responding to the injection of pace from Haile Gebrselassie.
It's not often in road races, Stuart, that you can actually notice an increase in pace, but there was an acceleration there just by the Imperial War Museum from Haile Gebrselassie, and Thompson did immediately react. There was almost a jerk from Thompson there to turn it up a gear and go with the big man, and the gap's opening behind them very quickly now, and a little glance there from Haile Gebrselassie indicates to me that he's not absolutely full of confidence here. He's a little bit worried. Normally you wouldn't see Haile doing that, certainly with only 17 minutes on the clock. They're not far past halfway, having gone through 5k, as you said, Stuart, in 16:08, and I think Chris Thompson's got him a little bit rattled.
Well, there we go, Helen Clitheroe, and the gap is opened up. And Mamani is finding it difficult to hang on. And in 3rd place there, you've got Christelle Dornay of France. the French record holder at multi-distance, multi-long distance. But this is a very, very dominant run. And you know, the messages coming back from Font-Romeu and from Kenya about the talent that and the actual fitness that Helen Clitheroe was showing, along with young Charlotte Purdue. I mean, it's very, very encouraging for the season. It really is.
Well, Helen Clitheroe was a great 1500 metre runner if you go back 10 or 12 years, Stuart, and she delayed her move up to the distances, I think, far, far too long. She's dallied with the steeplechase for the last 3 or 4 years, hasn't been comfortable at that, and now we're seeing all that potential suddenly gushing out of Helen Clitheroe's legs, and she's running very, very strongly. And having said that, Chris Thompson, he himself has had a delay in the middle of his career with 3 or 4 years of injury problems prior to last year, but now based in Eugene in the USA and coached by Mark Rowland, ironically a Briton. His career has moved on wonderfully in this last 18 months, and this is a critical moment of the race, Stuart. Chris is alongside Haile there, and I think he should just get his nose in front and have the confidence to test the Ethiopian.
Well, that's Lebed, and you can see how far he is. He's in no man's land in a way, which means that Thompson, he really is taking it on. You know, he beat his personal best in the 10,000 by 2 seconds. We mentioned it several times, and he overtook Mo Farah for third on the UK all-time list, so that will have given him confidence as well. But he does look in very, very good shape in that Oregon vest. That's where he's based. He's well coached by Mark Rowland, a former British steeplechaser of some consequence, and the gap between these two and Lebed is significant. The rest, Craig Mottram has fallen away, so has Martin Fagan I should say, but this is a race between two men now, that's for sure.
Well, it is indeed. They're approaching now the 8-kilometre point, and Chris Thompson hanging onto the coattails of Gebre Selassie there, who runs with this confidence and strength accrued over so many years. He hasn't lost a 10,000 on the road since 1994. Helen Clitheroe in control. There's Dornay chasing very, very hard in this women's race. She's finishing strongly, the French athlete. This is one of her best ever runs over 10 kilometres on the road. But I have to say, it's really refreshing and wonderful to see a girl at the age of 37, I should say a woman at the age of 37, running better than ever before with so much strength of character. And this is a really psychologically significant day for Helen Clitheroe.
Once a barrier is broken, all sorts of things can happen. She'd never won a major title before until the European Indoor Championships. It may be an indoor title, but it was a big landmark in her career. She was so pleased to have done that, and she's gone away now and trained and trained and trained, and looks very, very good on it. Fine run.
Well, her 8th kilometre was 3:09, her 9th kilometre 3:10. She has maintained that acceleration, Stuart, over this final third or so of this 10k in Manchester. It's been a tremendously strong run from Helen Clitheroe. She's beaten some big names, and it's another step forward. And you know, she's got low mileage in the tank, I suppose, as a middle distance runner. She's taken advantage of that with this great training at altitude in recent months, and certainly Clitheroe coming through to what is a comfortable victory here. There's so much more to come from her, and I think it's the beginning of a very, very exciting summer. That's a wonderful run in this Bupa Great Manchester 10k, and Helen Clitheroe there has totally dominated what is a pretty classy field. A lot of people will be shocked by the calibre of that run, and unofficially her winning time 31:45 is a huge new personal best, with Dornay there not far behind in second.
Well, there's Mamanye coming through, and also Moreira, who had a bit of a resurgence towards the end of that race, coming through into 4th place. But this was the story of one runner now who's emerged out of all recognition. Haile Gebre, I'm told that after he saw the result of the Boston Marathon, he's training 3 times a day, I'm told, at the moment. And, well, you can understand a man, even at his age, his experience, to see his marathon time broken. But it was a very special course, which we've often, of those who are in the know, have predicted that it would be a very fast, close to 2 hour time, 2 hour 3, and so it proved to be.
Well, don't let's forget that when he dropped out of the New York Marathon last November, Haile Gebre there and then on the day announced his retirement. Less than a week later, he'd changed his mind. And then, of course, with that very fast run in the Boston Marathon recently, he's got a rejuvenation, training very hard for either Berlin or Chicago in the autumn, he says.
It looks as though this is the time at which Gabriel Selassie, a little glance over his shoulder, is getting away. Chris Thompson desperately trying to get back onto his shoulder, but this looks to me as though this could be the point, and all of a sudden Thompson's shoulder's just a little bit of rock and roll, and the gap is widening now, and the great man looks to me to be moving away. But a lot of credit to this fella, Chris Thompson of Great Britain. There is a future for him now. There's a new confidence, just as there was with Helen Clitheroe. This is a man who believes, and once you believe, you can do it, you can perform. But Gabriel Selassie is away, and this is going to be another fine win for him. He is a truly magnificent athlete, and how many times have we said that in the past? Well, meanwhile, the waves are still starting from the start position. It really is a full day of competition. Wonderful stuff. Look at this. Remember, I said there were 37,000 entries. There may not be quite that many actually participating, but so the men's race, this is Chris Thompson, and the man in the distance there all of a sudden is Haile Gebrselassie. Gebrselassie first won the race in 2005, and then he won again in 2009 and 2010. And of course, he is so welcome here, and he is accepted here as a native of this part of the world. It really is. Wonderful, wonderful flowing movement, isn't there, over the years. We've seen him on the track, on the roads, on the country, and he always performs. But this is the day that Chris Thompson has taken him on, and not done too badly in my view.
No, Chris has had a real go at him. There was a moment, I think, when there was an opportunity, when psychologically Gebrselassie might have been vulnerable, but he got his nose down again and pushed on, and has eventually dominated this race. It's a marvellous run from Haile. Good to see him, still in great form. His age, a big question mark over his age, Stuart. Some people say he's a lot older than the quoted 38, but he's, well, I would say, almost as good as ever, and as you mentioned, still hungry for training.
Well, Haile Gebrselassie wins yet another title here in Manchester. The Bupa Great Manchester Run Champion for 2011. And that is a marvellous run. But there'll be a lot of credit due to this fella, Chris Thompson of Great Britain, who comes through just outside his personal best, but it's the manner in which he ran the race. And Sergei Lebed recovered a little towards the end to come into third place, ahead of Craig Mottram and Martin Fagan, who were always up there in the early stages. Here comes Mottram through into fourth place, then Fagan behind him. James Walsh, a good recovery by James Walsh to come into sixth place. Wow. Let's just update it. Gebrselassie 28.10, Thompson 28.21, Lebed 28.25. The top three, but Thompson, what a good run.
You had a bit of a challenge today, didn't you, from Chris Thompson?
Yes, he was amazing. I didn't expect, this boy. He's so great, and yeah, I thought he's somebody like, for me, Great Mottram and Lebed, the good one, but Thompson, amazing.
I think he had quite a bit on me in the end, but it was good, and I'd like to have pushed him a little bit more, but hopefully he said he won't come back next year, which is I'm gonna double the experience fee to get him back here. I want to race him again.
Helen Clitheroe then totally dominant, winning by some 14 seconds in the women's race from France's Christelle Dornay, with Grace Momagna, the Commonwealth champion, just outside 32 minutes.
Felt like I dominated the race, really. I was sort of thinking, oh, they're going to come flying past me any minute, but I felt pretty strong, and it was tough conditions, really, quite blustery out there. But I felt strong, and I'm quite surprised at the time in them conditions, really.
Well, let's update you on the result of the wheelchair races. David Weir and Nikki Emerson, the two winners of those races, 22.24 and 31.50 respectively. Two good races and two dominant performances. Well, it's been a great day in Manchester and a great weekend to look forward to in the northeast of England in September. The Great North City Games, followed by the Bupa Great North Run. Well, keep up to date on our website, greatrun.org. From us all here in Manchester, goodbye.